at the end, before it floods the whole model, is giving you some cool stuff. And yeah, just painting in that. Hi guys, my name is Borodante, and welcome back to Neonate's horror game characters creation process. And today we'll be sculpting the details of the last one of our basic game enemies, which is this long guy, slender neonate, but I think we need a more of an original name. Yeah, this one looks the most attractive, cool and all that, with his slim and tall design that really fits well with traditional understanding of horror looks and all that. So it'll be fun to do that, and will be quite a contrast after working on this guy. So you guys helped me with the name. Now we call him not a tank, but Cradle. I think it's pretty cool. Cradle. Yeah, will be fun to animate it, that's for sure. So yeah, again, most of the shape will be like the plain stretched skin, while the insides part, like in here and inside the thighs, like all of this area will be kind of like more of a red meaty kind of stuff, like inside of the mouth. And then of course we have the egg yolk that will also have certain stretchings, streaks that would be holding it in this kind of fashion, but not as exploded all over the place, more like the original neonate. It will look somewhat like this or something. By the way, original neonate doesn't have like these streaks actually pressing into the yolk. I didn't come up with that idea back then. I mean, it's not super necessary, but maybe I'll add it later. So yeah, will be interesting to see how exactly those streaks will work in this design. You know, these two big slabs of egg white, how exactly are they gonna... I feel like it will be some kind of swirly movement that will be supporting it that way. And yeah, this is the second episode where I continue working on my Galaxy Tab S3, an Android tablet with an S Pen, using the software called Super Display. Last episode worked really well. I really liked it, never had a single issue. For the most part, I forgot about the fact that I was using this kind of tablet. The only thing at all that kind of reminds me that I switched the tablets, my Intuos 4 has quite a bigger surface, so the sensitivity in here is much more intense. Can never understand how do you say it. If the surface is bigger, then the sensitivity is like higher? No, so the sensitivity is lower, the precision is higher. So in here, the sensitivity is higher, meaning I move my hand a little bit, the cursor moves a lot, hence the lower precision. Yeah. But, first of all, smaller tablet is totally great on the table, like, I don't have to, like, look around it, and secondly, I'm working in 3D right now, the precision demands are pretty low, actually. It's not like, you know, making line art, which would be probably the hardest thing on the, you know, the quality of the tablet, and it's not even just painting, so this is much simpler. And I would even say texturing a 3D model is also a lot easier on the precision of the tablet. So I think I'm all good using it this way. And when you work in 3D, what's way more important is having as much of the keyboard available to you as possible. So yeah, one moment before we start actually working, I wanted to mention one of you guys gave me a great advice about switching to an interesting mode to use the S Pen with Blender here. And it's right here in Preferences, Input. There's a bunch of settings that can make your tablet experience way better. So no matter what kind of tablet you're using, I actually recommend switching from Automatic to Windows Ink, which is surprising. By default, it goes with WinTab, and the problem with WinTab mode, in this way, like I can show you guys right here, if I use a grab tool and I start making a stroke, you can see there's a little bit of a snapping going on. Like I move it and then like it waits for about 4 pixels or something, and then it snaps the brush stroke. So you actually can't make a very tiny brush stroke. You always need to move a little bit. This is something I don't have in Photoshop, for instance, with this tablet, because in there I have brush strokes showing up immediately. And in Windows Ink, if we just switch like this, is just affecting the surface immediately. So it's way better. This is how you're supposed to be sculpting or drawing in Blender. So make sure you're using Windows Ink mode right here. Also, you can play around with some settings. This is about how the pressure sensitivity is applied. And yeah, emulate 3-button mouse mode. This is a huge deal. In the last episode I mentioned I reassigned a bunch of shortcuts to avoid using the middle click, since there's no middle button here, only the right click. And literally this one thing is literally emulating this alt left mouse instead of middle click. So that also means I can use alt left mouse to navigate this or node editors and everything. So it works really great while I still have my right click. But yeah, this is huge and this is huge. If you're using a 1-button stylus, you definitely need this because you don't have a middle click functionality. Alright, I want to start with this egg yolk. Also, you guys recommended removing any kind of vertex data from here to avoid Dentopo constantly turning off. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Seems like right now for the first time I didn't get a warning from Dentopo that I have some vertex data. It didn't work before, even when I removed everything from here, it was still giving me the warning. Maybe it was just a bug, but that was a good sign just now. I hope it will actually work. So here I am doing some detail, then I leave, then I go back to sculpt, Dentopo is still on. What if I go to edit mode, select some vertex, move it about, and then go back to sculpt? And that's where Dentopo is still off. And it's saying that I have some kind of vertex data just after visiting the edit mode. Like, I just moved some vertices. Why is it considered some kind of vertex data? And it's like always gonna be turned off. So some kind of vertex data was created just now and I'm not seeing it here. I don't know what it is, but it's a constant bummer that I have to keep turning it back on and click OK on the warning about the vertex data. Quite a waste of time. I just realized I can just use this right bar to have all the tool settings for the brush and everything, instead of taking away space from the viewport. That's way better. Okay, so I actually want to slightly resemble a face with this one. I don't usually do it on neonates, but this time let's actually do that. Alright, evened out some topology. By the way, I'm still using that alternative blurring mode. Like if I actually go to the smooth brush right here, it's called surface instead of Laplacian. And I think I like it more, although I'm still slightly feeling uncomfortable because I'm so used to certain quirks of that Laplacian mode. The main thing is like whenever you have something sticking out and you would use blur, you guys can see how I can easily blur out the detail without thinning out this little horn immediately. So if I switch to Laplacian mode right here, it's like a pinch brush instead of a smooth tool. I actually got unused to it. This is very intense, how much it does it. Well, I mean, the topology is low. The lower the topology, the stronger this thinning out is happening. And surface doesn't do that. Surface, like, it does, but so much less. You remove all the details a lot faster before you lose the thickness of your object here. And yeah, there's some extra settings in here that you can play around with, but I keep it at default, and when you hold shift and smooth, that's also that mode that you chose in the smooth brush. It's the same thing. So yeah, this one is way better in that regard. It's actually smoothing instead of thinning things out. But I noticed like I got really used to thinning things out sometimes with just the smooth brush. So yeah, I have to kind of like fight it a little bit still in my head because of how kind of useful it became with time. Having to like switch to the actual pinch brush or something to thin things out. Well, I mean, this is also working, but in some cases it will be pretty hard to thin out anything with this smoothing. Okay, let's get rid of this, whatever this is. I don't think we're gonna find it useful. So I'm thinking like, you know, some kind of like puffy, very sleepy kind of face. But almost. It's not like you're literally looking at a face, you know? Something semi-distorted like this, with a bunch of other stuff going on too. Also, I'll use Shift D to change the density of my topology. So now my Dintopo brushwork will be much more dense, or this way it would be much less dense. So Shift D, defining the size, and yeah, you get all kinds of different levels of detail, which is pretty cool. Okay, now as I have the basic idea of this kind of a face, now I can add some streaks right here. I think that'll be cool. By the way, Dintopo didn't turn off. Well, I didn't visit the edit mode on it, so maybe that's why. Oh, I like this one. It will be looking kind of like a tear. Maybe both of them will be. Oh crap, this thing works. I almost forgot the shortcut you guys recommended. So in sculpt mode, last time I mentioned that if you're in sculpt mode on one object, you can click on the other object's dot and it will turn into this. You guys said there's a shortcut to do it right here in the viewport. So Alt Q when I'm hovering the mouse over another object. Boom! It even has like this red animation. How cool is that? I mean, I remember the similar functionality in ZBrush, but it didn't have the red glow. Like, this is pretty cool. Man, things suddenly became so much better recently for sculpting, for my personal experience. Like, it's because I switched to the new tablet and keep talking about it, but really, many of these things could really help me out with the old tablet as well. Oh, that's looking pretty good, like a good mass. I kind of believe how it's squeezed in there. Looking up some abs references from Mr. Universe again. Mr. Universe is awesome. Best references ever. doing some organs and whatever, also trying to start melting things together a little bit, like creating some kind of stretchings and such. Because really, so far, it's a very precise anatomy kind of thing, which is not very consistent with the other ones, other neonates. Oh, wow. So I used this detail flood fill command. Oh no, I hit it again. I wanted to turn on wireframe. Oh my god, I'm doing it again. That's because it keeps aligning the cursor to the same item every time, the previously selected one. So yeah, this is what I did. I don't think I like it. It's just that, as I mentioned before, like Dynamesh is awesome and everything, and generally remeshing and such, but seems like this functionality has to include automatic smoothing, because what's the point of having, you know, these triangle, like it's obvious that it's such a mess. Much harder to work with this way. Oh no, flood fill also means lower detail wherever it's higher. That's dumb. I mean, as an option, sure, but maybe it's literally, it needs to be this as well. Like we need to switch to just subdivide edges mode and then use the flood. No, the flood doesn't have options. Well, then it's freaking useless. Like, not useless, it's only if you want to like restart, like start over on a model, you would use something like that. Oh wow, what is this? I can quickly create like a spherical mask. Is it spherical or is it on a surface? It's a sphere. Okay, that's kind of cool. So Shift A does this. Like, as I mentioned before, one way to fix this issue that these triangles of like in much higher topology show up everywhere. One way to fix it would be to also let me turn on Din Topo in the smooth brush, but it's not a thing. Smooth brush never remeshes anything. That is so weird and cool. So this is the alternative mode of doing this thing. In here it's called expand mask by topology, so that's what I was doing. But there's also Shift Alt A, which is expand mask by normals, and that stuff is giving you some cool results like this. So it's like at the end, before it floods the whole model, is giving you some cool stuff. And yeah, just painting in that. By the way, yeah, not just sculpting, in painting it would be kind of cool too. This is cool looking. Let's work on the butt then. I don't know how that's connected, but yeah. Selecting a butt to not get distracted by anything else. It's only you and the butt. Okay. So, I thought of using like this Simplify brush. It's a confusing name. It's not actually Simplify. It's literally like Din Topo without doing any other function of some other brush. So you're just doing whatever you set up in here. And I thought to myself, it has to have like this auto smooth thing. Like, there you go. Remeshing and smoothing at the same time. If only I could use it as shift brush, you know? But damn, how cool is that? Man, there's so many cool shortcuts in here. I feel like there's just a bit too many of them, so what's the point? Like, I won't be able to memorize all of it. Yeah, there's no way to assign it like that, but of course I can create like a basic shortcut for it to just select the brush or something. And yeah, with a moderate amount of this auto smoothing selected for the simplify brush, it's pretty effective. I can go around any area I want to improve like that, and there we go. Also, I assume I can make it only subdivide and not kill the detail like that. Like, don't make it less, only more. It doesn't seem like it's a thing here. I guess I need to be more careful then. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And what I also like about it, it's a shame I can't set up a specific, resolution just for this brush. Since it doesn't follow this thing, could be good to also be able to have its own resolution and everything. Because it would be cool to go around and use like in-between resolution that I like use on my brushes when I sculpt. But when I go ahead and do this, I want to go like halfway, because halfway is a good way to avoid big obvious triangles when subdividing quickly, So like something like this I would be adding, and it would totally remove all the problems. And then when I go even more detailed, it would still not have the triangles, because it's like double interpolation. It's sort of smoothing on its own this way, even if I wouldn't be using the smooth brush features in Simplify Brush. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be all that fast and snappy. It's just something you switch to. You hit Shift D to change the resolution, and you go ahead and, rework your model a little bit, get it ready to sculpt it in a more detailed way. And then you can go back to your Dintopo sculpting at higher resolution, I guess. So yeah, now as I'm subdividing more here, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're not getting any like obvious triangles or whatever that I had to be fixing all the time before. Cool stuff. Because that was like a big deal. I really like to keep working in Dynamesh mode like all the time, even when I'm finalizing. And that's causing like some visible glitches on models if you suddenly go from very low poly surface to suddenly adding a lot of topology. So yeah, this Simplify brush with auto smoothing on at about 0.3 strength, it works pretty well. Going all over the place, adding like these creases in between all these masses. The top part has very heavy, like a lot of biomass at the top, and yeah, increasing this kind of like pressure of one mass onto another or something. It looks pretty cool with the crease. Also, after you add the crease, in many cases it may be enough, but like when I really want to have like a very believable, feeling of pressure, I use the inflate brush, and then it like can be really pressed against each other. While it is a Dintopo kind of brush, you can still definitely press topology together, and you sort of increase your resolution there a bit. Like it's just polygons become more dense because they are pressed together. I think it's because I have this only subdivide edges mode, so you will never lose resolution as I think about it. So generally the crease brush probably works better this way, because to have very sharp spikes and creases, you need to, increase the density of topology. And Dintopo, if it's not only subdividing but collapsing in this subdivide collapse mode, like whenever you press polygons together in a pinch or a crease or anything, it's actually bringing them closer, but then they get collapsed and disappear all the time. So that thing is like, I mean, it has its own thing. Maybe you don't need exactly the sharp, this kind of perfect crease in there. Maybe you just need overall the shape of some kind of a soft indentation. Then it's fine. But aside from that, it's best to avoid the collapsing mode in Dintopo when you use any kind of spiky detail brush. So yeah, I do that, then I get a little bit of the glitches between polygons, like it looks all that dark and weird in there. And that's when I slightly smooth it out, and I get a pretty good result there. Yeah, I should get rid of this little bump. Like, what is it supposed to mean? Is there a penis or not? Let's just go with not, like we're just, removed all the outside tissue altogether. So this is just the underlying anatomy there. I think it looks a lot more consistent in that regard, because a little bump, like, is this pants? What is this? Yeah, something like that. I feel like I'll need to smooth things out a bit on many details. Really liked this extra thing I did here. It has nothing to do with other neonates, but I don't care. Every neonate has to have something special about them specifically anyway. So yeah, overall, I really like the result. The new spikes in here, the way the egg yolk is working here is looking really awesome. I will keep working on this later today. You guys will see it in the end of the video as a time lapse. But yeah, overall for this video, this is it. So it wouldn't be forever long. Man, this is looking so cool. I have this material that's like matte on the outside and slightly more glossy on all the creases. And it's like immediately making things look very realistic because of that. But yeah, why are you... Oh yeah, that's right, that's a different material. I need to do this in here as well. Oh, good color. Man, those abs look impressive. Cool, and like with these things, like everything. And this was awesome before even. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Honestly, I'm not even sure I need to detail anything else, but I'll have another go all over the place a little bit. Something interesting to look at. Maybe some kind of almost veins on these growths. And in here as well. Honestly, we're really close. This is looking good, like that torso is looking awesome. So yeah, we'll see how it ends, but for me this is it. Thank you guys for watching and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye! What about Eevee anyway? Honestly, with Unreal Engine 5, I still don't know how to preview the model. Which one is closer to the Lumen rendering, Eevee or Cycles? Well, this is not looking that impressive at all. Yeah, with HDR lighting, it's just not that good. Ooh, that's better. Maybe this should be a bit further away because we have a very overexposed head. Cool. Good stuff.